The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Yes, it's time to join Simon Pound for the ad feature here on the show this morning. Simon Pound from simonpound.com. G'day, Simon.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy morning to you.
Happy iPad morning.
Happy iPad morning indeed.
This will be apparently the day that changed the world.
It's you just can't help getting caught up in a little bit of the excitement, can you? Even if it is kind of not maybe the new second coming type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the sheen should fade pretty fast. But let's dive straight into what we're talking about today. We're talking about the New Zealand Tourism Initiative that got some reality TV shows here, and most recently America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, just recently for Media 7, I did a story on a Tourism New Zealand initiative under their PR wing that's quite new and quite interesting, and shows kind of the ways that companies are now trying to engage with people. What they did is their PR wing has traditionally been involved in bringing over travel writers or people from travel magazines or travel shows or travel media. You know, it's always been focused on people who are involved in travel.
Yeah.
But recently they have moved and expanded to try and engage with celebrities, opinion leaders, and now also television shows. So the concept was, instead of spending money on an ad and then paying a whole lot of money to run it in the middle of a program, they'd try and get the entire program to come to New Zealand and use the lovely scenery as backdrops and try and get some kind of cultural ideas and all the like. And to do this, they sweeten the pot by going to local operators and saying to them, hey, will you give us free jet boat rides, and will you help have these people at your wonderful lodge, and will you throw these people off a bridge with a rubber band on them? And
so I suppose it's kind of the extreme version of the way other products get themselves into movies. So let's say, for example, we've just been talking about Apple, how Apple get their MacBooks into movies. It's kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah, product placement when the product is the actual place.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first big success that Tourism New Zealand had with this was they brought The Bachelor down here, which hasn't been a huge success in New Zealand, but in America, The Bachelor was just enormous. And they managed to lure it down for, I think, 3 whole shows were shot here.
Yeah.
And there was, helicopter shots and beautiful this, that, and the other. So they worked it out that cumulatively, I love the way that all of these kind of cumulative audience figures come to. I think they make up a number and quadruple it as the scientific method. But they worked out that something like 90 million people had cumulatively seen the episodes that were shot here.
Okay.
And that was for the price, all of their engagement activities for the price of a 30-second ad that would have been shown on the network if it had been done that way.
Right.
And on the back of that was a big success for them. On the back of that, they also had a hand in bringing America's Next Top Model to New Zealand. And we saw the effect that had on this country. But America's Next Top Model is more than just an American show. You know, it is a global phenomenon. So it's licensed to countries all around the world follow it and are interested in it. And there are people who blog on it and who are quite obsessive about it. So what Tourism New Zealand did is they actually were in competition with another country to get this cycle of America's Next Top Model.
Is that true that it is actually a competition, like people bid for this?
Yes, pretty much. If they find out that really big productions are interested in coming to a country, the relevant agencies will say, we can do this, and this for you. And then the other one will go, aha, I see your lovely 5-star hotel, and I raise you a cultural experience. And actually do try to make it easier again.
Do we know how much we paid for America's Next Top Model to come here?
No. On specs and numbers, they were a bit cagey on that. I think also because it was still in the process. But a lot of what they give them is them. So the tourism operators have actually provided it gratis to them because they couldn't afford to spend the money. And the way that they say is that it's relative to a 30-second advertisement in total for getting hours of television over here.
Yeah.
So maybe we're talking in the couple of $100,000 territory.
Okay. Right.
Which is it's pretty clever engagement.
But,
They've also they said that there were two types of engagement activities that they did. One type is when they actually go out there and go to the production companies and argue the case and ask them to come down here, where they focus, very carefully and on who they want and how they would fit into the New Zealand brand. And so, to that end, they've actually just a great friend of mine, a guy called Sam Mickle, who was instrumental in a lot of this work and really a very capable man. He's now being sent over to LA to work as an intermediary between New Zealand and the production companies there.
wow.
So we got to bring up, your enormous producers and say, take lunch. I'm New Zealand. And the other half is when it's opportunistic. So if they find that a group is over here who might talk to a market, then they try and do stuff for them here in the hope of getting extra coverage. So a good example of that would be the Indian cricket team. When they were over here, the Indian cricket team in India has the same kind of status as the All Blacks do here. Enormous coverage. Their movements overseas are tracked and reported on, and people really care. And so they took the Indian cricket team and did all number of activities with them, from sky tower jumps to luxury activities. So the coverage would filter back to this market with 1 billion people.
Okay, so it's coverage, but surely it's really hard to find out how it translates into actual visitor numbers back to New Zealand.
Well, the woman who is in charge of this is Jane Dent, who's an ex-journalist, who's a great journalist. She describes it as saying that this technique, this tactic, will never replace traditional tourism advertising, whereby you make sure that you have adverts, you make sure you have engagement with travel agents, you have the travel fairs, and all of those places where, you Condé Nast Traveller adverts and all that stuff. It'll never replace it, but it works in tandem, and the idea is that perhaps cumulatively, all of these mentions of New Zealand on exciting television shows or from exciting celebrities make the place kind of more real and more approachable to your average tourist who's on the other side of the world. So the idea isn't that this is going to individually spur someone to come over, but when they come to make the decision of where to go, maybe there's enough little things that have worked together to tip them over, which of course is not scientific and is not something you can measure.
No.
But as a strategy, you'd have to think that if you've seen Tyra Banks in New Zealand, then maybe New Zealand isn't that far-fetched a place to go.
Yeah, well, it's not in the fantasy realm of Lord of the Rings, I suppose.
Yeah, which was what that actually tied all the advertising to Lord of the Rings for the number of years before that, and they're just coming out of that now. They had to, really, because it was the biggest awareness generator around, and now the next awareness generator is going to be the World Cup. So I think there's something kind of very opportunistic and using kind of like kung fu. You use what's happening around you to your benefit or something. So they use the big events and just kind of tag onto them.
Hey Simon, very quickly tell us what's happening with the new ad show that's starting on TVNZ7.
Right. Well, we're in pre-production and it's very exciting. Hazel is talking to a lot of people at agencies and spreading a bit of interest and getting a couple of our features kind of up and going, that I'll be able to talk more about soon. But we have set up a Twitter account, which is The Ad Show New Zealand, and we also have a Facebook group if people want to join, as we're going to be asking for quite a bit of viewer involvement and help, and for the clever and engaging people to help make things awesome.
Good-o. Simon, thanks very much. Same time next week.
Lovely, good man. Have a good day.
See you at simonpound.com if you want to find out more about what we've been talking about, and also hit him up on Twitter as well, twitter.com/Poundito.